Hey there, CJ Math students. Welcome to Homework AIMSweb number 1. Important to note, this is a content grade. What you get right out of the 35 questions will equal your percentage. It's practice, it's no calculators, and it is due Tuesday. I will only do a couple of the problems for you because some of these you've already seen before. So on the front side, problem like number 3, there's like 4 of these on here. When it says evaluate the expression when x is equal to 3, evaluate means solve, and when x is equal to 3, you plug in. So it becomes 3 minus 2 equals your answer of 1, right? Number 4, it says write the fraction in lowest terms. You have to think, what number can I divide 3 and 6 by that they have in common? What's the biggest number they have in common to simplify this, to reduce it to its lowest terms? And that answer is 3. I get 1 over 2. Put it on the line, 1 over 2. All right. Problem number 5, simple multiplication. Problem number 6, just like problem number 3. Problem number 7, you're going to want to borrow. You cannot do 4 minus 5. So borrow from the 7, it becomes a 6, and it becomes 14 minus 5, which is 9. 6 minus 6 is 0. Drop down your decimal. 2 minus 1 is 1, so 1.09. Right? The other ones I want to see on the front, like number 12, again, reduce to its lowest terms. The biggest number that they have in common is 2. If a number ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, you can divide by 2, right? It's an even number. Even. I'm going to be saying this all year long. If it's an even number, you can divide it by 2. So in this case, it is an even number. They're both even numbers, so I can divide them both by 2, and I get 5 over 13. You can use your multiplication chart to help you with the 26 divided by 2. You can put your finger on 2, go all the way over until you get 26, go up, and you see it's 13, right? Problem like 13, when you have fractions that have common denominators already, you just keep the common denominator of 71, and then you just add up the numerator. So 19 plus 18 off to the side, that gives you 37. So 37 over 71 is your answer. Problem like number 14, you ask yourself, hey, if I want to convert a decimal to a fraction, what place value is this? And you just ask yourself, okay, what place value is that number in? And the answer is, it's in the hundredths place value. So because it's in the hundredths place value, I'm going to put it over 100. So my answer is 47 over 100 as a fraction, right? 15 is like 13, but it's a subtraction problem. 16 is like the one above, so I'm going to let you do that. 17 is like 13. 18, don't forget to lay your egg when you do your multiplication, right? So 5 times 1 is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Carry your 2. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 2 is 27. You are not done. Lay your egg. Then you get to do 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 times 4, which is 8. 2 times 5, which is 10. And now add up. I'm not going to finish that for you. You need to finish that. All right. And problem number 20, convert 8 over 10 to a decimal. This is very easy. You just divide the denominator into the numerator. So 10 into 8. 10 doesn't go into 8. So this is where our friend, the decimal, comes into place. A decimal there, raise the roof, put it up top, and then add in a 0. Right. So now it's not 10 into 8, but it's 10 into 80, and it goes in there 8 times. That's why we get 0.8 as our answer. Now, another way just to look at that, this is base 10. Anytime anything is base 10, you can just look at the numerator and you have your decimal. So like 7 over 10, for instance, would be 0.7. 1 over 10, for instance, would be 0.1, right? 23 over 100, 100 is base 10, would be 0.23, right? So anytime it's base 10, you can just look at the numerator and that's your decimal. All right, to the back side. This is only considered complete when you show all work, so don't be using calculators on 21 or 24 or anything like that. 22, notice they do not have common denominators, so you need to find common denominators. I'm going to abbreviate this and say find common denoms, right? So that means you need to multiply 22 by some number to get it to 44. Well, if you put your finger on 22 and go over and then go up, you'll notice it's just you need to multiply it times 2, right? Once I do that, 2 times 11 is 22. 2 times 22 is 44. Now I have common denominators, and now because I have common denominators, I just get to add my numerators, right? So 22 plus 9 is 31 over 44. That's how you get your answer. 23, this is just like what we were doing with decimals. Make sure you line it up. So if I were you, I'd put the decimal right below, right there, and say, okay, let me fill in 0.6. The 0 goes there, the 6 goes there. Now I can subtract, right? Fill in any empty spaces with zeros. 6 minus 0 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. The decimal gets dropped down. The 0, 0.16, right? Number 25 is just like 23. 27 is just like 23, so I'll let you go ahead and do that. Number 28 is just like number 20, so go ahead and do that and make sure you understand it's asking for a decimal, right? Number 30 we will do together. In order to take a percent of a number, you treat the percent as a decimal. So this is a decimal. We'll talk about how you change it by swooping it twice to the left. So it's 80 times 0.60. All right. This first row is nothing but zeros. So then you lay an egg and you go to the second row. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 8 is 48. So it looks like your answer is crazy, right? 4,800. But remember, you had 2 decimals. So you need to swoop twice. 1, 2. So your answer is really 48.00 or just 48, right? Again, 48.00 or 48. Either one of those is the answer. Number 31 is just like the problem number 14 on the front, so you can figure that out. Number 32 is a decimal problem, so it's like 23. You can figure out. Make sure you line up your decimals. 23 will do. All right. Does 50 go into 2? No. Does 50 go into 21? No. Does 50 go into 210? Yes. And now you can say, okay, 50 and round into 200. How many times can I put 50 into 200? Well, 150 is 50, 250 is 100, a third 50 is 150, and a fourth 50 is 200. So there we go. So it can go in there 4 times, and that's 200. And we got 10 left over. And I don't want you to say remainder 10. I want you to use our friend the decimal. Put the decimal, raise the roof, extend your quotient line if you have to, and then drop down another 0. So now how many times can 50 go into 100? How many 50s are in 100? Well, 150 is 50, and 2 50s, that's 100. So your answer is 4. Oops, wait, that's not a 0, my fault. 4.2. So that's 100. Nothing left over. I know I'm done. All right. 37 is multiplying decimals. We know how to do that. Just remember you need to swoop a total of 3 times in the end. 38 we know how to do, right? We need to swoop this guy once, right? So this guy once, right? And then we rewrite the problem. So that's 23 into 11 decimal 5, right? Put your finger on 23 and go across on your multiplication chart. You get to a number that's close to 115 or exactly 115, and guess what? It's exactly 5 times, right? So 23 didn't go to 1, didn't go into 11, but it did go into 115 5 times, and guess what? That's exactly 115, so we know we're done. 0.5 is your answer. All right, when dividing fractions, I know you were taught fractions. When dividing fractions, you flip the second fraction and multiply. So I'm going to flip this second fraction right here, and I'm going to multiply. So it becomes 1/2, not divided by anymore, but times the reciprocal, or 4/5 flipped, 4 over 5. Now, to multiply fractions, I just multiply straight across. I do 1 times 5, which is 5, and 2 times 4, which is 8, and I'm done. All right, 40 I'll leave on your own because it's multiplying fractions, which is multiplying straight across, which you can do. That's it. Call me if you have questions.